Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Many of you just celebrated Christmas or another holiday. I know I have viewers all over the world in all different backgrounds, but chances are you were recently just celebrating a holiday. And chances are this holiday went okay, maybe it wasn't the best ever, but there are so many people out there who have lost loved ones in 2018, and this past holiday for them was one of the hardest. And I actually connected with one of those people, and I connected with her thanks to you guys. She left a comment on one of my videos telling me her story and asking for help, and I didn't see it. I often don't see comments because I get so many. So it got thumbs up so many times that I ended up seeing it. Someone messaged it to me on Instagram and I ended up connecting with her. Her name is Alyssa. And when I heard Alyssa's story, I knew I had to make a video about this. I had to get the word out. So Alyssa did want to be part of the video. I didn't know if she would be too sensitive to tell this story, because once you hear this, you're gonna understand. I'm hoping that in the spirit of the holidays, I can get as many of you to help her as possible. Can't believe I'm already getting emotional, but it is one of those videos. You're gonna understand why. So Alyssa is doing this video with me, so there will be clips of her in this. I felt like it was really important that she tells her own story. And then please stay tuned to the end, because I'm gonna tell you how you can help. So this is Rikki and Alyssa Sandoval. Rikki was 22 years old and Alyssa is 23 years old, and they lived in Hemet in Riverside County, California, with 2 children. And I just want to let you guys know that most of this story will be told by Alyssa.
So this is my second time attempting this video. It's just really hard to talk about without crying, so I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna go ahead and talk about how Rikki and I met really quickly. Rikki and I met in 2012. My friend Eric introduced us to each other in January of 2013. Rikki asked me to be his girlfriend and we began dating. It didn't take long for us to fall in love with each other. Exactly 1 year later, Rikki proposed to me, and it was just about a few months after that I moved in with him. He was a senior in high school and I was working down the street from where we lived. 3 months into living together, I got pregnant. It wasn't planned or anything. I was on birth control and I got pregnant with our twin daughters named Isabel and Annabelle. They are turning 4 years old on February 23rd, so we're real close to their birthday. February 23rd of 2015, the twins were born, and Rikki and I just lived life from there. We lived life together, we enjoyed life, we loved each other, we were happy. We were a happy family. Twins were happy and Rikki was happy and I was happy. We lived a very happy life. In June of 2017, Rikki and I got married. He decided he wanted to get married. It was a spur of the moment kind of thing. We weren't talking about it or anything. He just randomly popped up with he wanted to just go and get married. So we went and got married on June 23rd of 2017. And it was in January of 2018 that we began talking about a sibling for the twins. And we were excited. We wanted to try and give the twins a little sister, a little brother, and we found out I was pregnant on February 23rd, 2018, which was the twins' birthday. We found out and I was so excited. And he was so excited. I had the best pregnancy ever. We constantly went and had ultrasounds done. We got to see her and see who she looked like and see her beautiful face and her beautiful nose and her lips, and she was the cutest little thing in the world.
They had been together a really long time. They have a great relationship. So it was a positive situation that they were bringing this baby into, and they were, just over the moon. However, this past November 12th of 2018 at 1:20 a.m., Alyssa woke up with contractions.
I woke Rikki up at around 1:15 in the morning. I was starting to get contractions. We were just waiting patiently for her. I was 41 weeks at this point, so it was a long pregnancy. He fell back asleep which is normal. That's Rikki. Rikki, he was tired. He had worked that Saturday, and so he was exhausted, and he went to sleep a little bit late that Sunday night. And so when I woke him up in the morning, he was a little tired. So he fell back asleep while I went and got myself together to go to the hospital. I went back in the room and I was like, babe, come on, get up. And so he got up and he got all of our hospital bags together, and then got Daisy's car seat, and then began to put everything into our trunk.
Their twins stayed at home with their grandma and they headed to the hospital. Everything felt normal to them. They were listening to, some of his favorite music, and she was just kind of breathing through the contractions as they drove there.
I remember Rikki hitting a pothole. It was a really deep pothole, and I got scared. I got scared because I didn't expect it, and I just told him to be careful, and I told him the last thing we needed was to get into a car accident. And I remember him just looking at me and telling me that we're not gonna get into a car accident, and he rubbed my belly and just said sorry, and we just turned right onto Highway 74 and started driving, and nothing felt bad. Everything felt normal. We didn't tell anyone that we were going into the hospital that morning, so I texted his sister and I told her that we were going to the hospital because I was having contractions. While I was waiting for her reply, Rikki looked at me, and this is the last thing that he told me. He looked at me and he said, I'm so excited. I'm so excited, babe. And all I said was, me too. His sister texted back, and when I looked down at my phone to read her message, that was the last thing. That was the last thing that happened before we got hit.
Around 1:45 a.m., Alyssa and Ricky were heading west down Highway 74 when suddenly a Toyota truck headed north on Menifee Road ran a red light, went through the intersection, and slammed into their car. I cannot imagine the fear that you would have as a mom, being in that situation, knowing you have 2 kids at home and you have a baby literally waiting to be born.
And I remember reading her message and then going to look up so I could tell Rikki what his sister said, and I just never got the chance. All I know is that our light was green, because before I looked down at my phone when his sister had texted me, I saw that our light was green. I remember feeling immediate pain, and then everything went numb, and then I remember feeling nothing, absolutely nothing. I just remember screaming, and I don't remember the sounds of anything else. I don't remember the sounds of us rolling over. I don't remember the sounds of us getting hit. Nothing. I just remember feeling immediate pain, and then that was it. And then I woke up.
Their car ended up upside down in a ditch, and the people who hit them literally got out of their truck. Their truck stopped, and the driver and another male passenger hopped out of the truck and ran. Didn't even bother to help them, just knew that they were screwed and got out of there, because guess what? They were driving under the influence. And the suspects also left 2 of their own injured female passengers in the car, ages 15 and 17. Here is a picture of the suspect's truck. This is important.
I woke up hanging from my seatbelt upside down in the car. And Rikki was next to me. He was next to me, and he was breathing fine. And I just remember looking at him, and he was unconscious. But I remember thinking to myself, what happened? I was freaking out. I was hyperventilating. I was confused. I knew we got into an accident. I just didn't understand how. I didn't understand what had happened. I thought Rikki had hit something. Trying to figure out why I couldn't move, and I realized that my seatbelt had locked up, and I tried to reach back while I was hanging upside down, and I tried to reach to unbuckle myself, but the buckle was completely locked. I just hung there, and I was in so much pain, you know, with my big old pregnant belly and seatbelt all locked up and hanging. It was horrible. And it felt like I was waiting there for hours. I remember Rikki breathing fine. I held his hand for a little bit and I was just waiting for help, you know. I was screaming for somebody to help us because we were in a ditch. I didn't think anyone was gonna hear me or come for us or anything. And so I remember just screaming for help and trying to look for my phone when I noticed his breathing starting to change. It was about 5 minutes before the firefighters and the paramedics came that Rikki just stopped breathing altogether. It took a lot in me to just keep myself going. That night it took a lot after he stopped breathing. I didn't understand what happened. Even now I still think to myself that I thought we were going. I thought we were going to live. When I woke up, I had hope. I had hope that we were gonna be fine. I didn't think that I was gonna lose him. I thought that I didn't know how severe the accident was until I was taken to the hospital. And when I had woke up and I was told how bad that car accident was, that's when I realized, you know, that I'm surprised that I even made it out. My water broke inside the car when we got to the car accident. Daisy was fine. When I woke up in the hospital, my body was completely covered in bruises. I had bruises on my forehead. I had this huge cut right here, if you guys can see it, on my forehead. I had cuts in my head. My left eye was swollen completely shut. It was horrible. It was horrible. And the worst part of it all is I had to go through all of this without my best friend.
Now, I know hearing Alyssa's story is probably so emotional. Can't even find the words to explain how sorry I feel for her in that moment, and I need to like get myself together for a second. Did you ever try to look up so that your tears will like roll back in your eyes? I just truly cannot imagine what that would be like. That would be the worst thing in the world. The worst thing in the world. Like, I truly can't think of anything else that, you know, and I don't think anyone would think something like that would happen to them until something does. And that's why I just really wanted to share this story. It just struck me so hard. So by the time the paramedics arrived on the scene, Rikki had passed away. Alyssa had to have an emergency C-section, but she survived, and so did the baby. So a gas station across the street, thankfully, captured this on camera. They captured footage of the two suspects, and it turns out that these two suspects actually bought alcohol from that gas station moments before the crash. The two girls who were left behind in the truck survived the crash, but they refused to give names of who they were with. Rikki's family was offering a reward of $5,000 to try to identify these two. However, eventually they were identified, and Alyssa told me that the police didn't even notify her to tell them that they ended up, you know, identifying them. She had to just find out on her own. I mean, she literally woke up from a C-section, found out her husband was gone, had to go through the trauma of remembering what happened, and then she doesn't even get adequate support from the police. Like, you should be told that immediately. She had to have a friend tell her that they saw it in an article that the two had been identified. Now, here are the two suspects. This is Alan Guzman, 19 years old. He is the driver, and Mario Ortega, 29 years old, and he's the passenger. So Alan is in Mexico, we believe, and Mario is somewhere in Northern California in Central Valley. I'm gonna leave this picture on the screen for a little while. I want to burn these faces into your brains. Please take a screenshot. I will leave like a little thing for you to post to social media along with their picture with all the information and everything to make it really easy for you guys to share it. You can just share this video, or you can share their actual photos. What we really need here is getting these photos around. We need to catch these guys, dude. Someone knows something, and someone out there can help. And this case has not gotten nearly enough media coverage, and I truly believe that with my reach and, you know, how we literally, like I said earlier, have people all around the world, I'm hoping that maybe we can, you know, really do something and help this situation, because Alyssa needs to get closure for Rikki to move on. Like, if that was you, wouldn't you want to have that closure for that family member, that justice? So we have started a Instagram page called Justice for Rikki, so you can follow it, and that way you can stay up to date with any, anything that goes on with the case, because I am really hoping that in 2019 we catch these guys, because Rikki deserves justice. Those children deserve justice. Alyssa deserves justice. I mean, can you imagine as a mother even dealing with this? Like, I couldn't even imagine getting up every day, and she has a newborn, and now she's a single mom of 3. And so the other thing that I want to do for her is I asked her to start a GoFundMe page. I would really like to take some of the financial burden off her. Now she's a single parent. No one's planning for that, and I can't imagine how hard it was with Christmas and everything. So I'm asking even $1, anything that you can help. There's a link below to help her directly. And then if you can follow the Justice for Rikki account, I think just bringing her support, even if you can't give her financial support, if you can just give her a message or a comment, those things go far too. Again, here are the guys' pictures. Again, their names are Alan Guzman and Mario Ortega. Anyone with information about these suspects' whereabouts, even if you are not completely sure, please still contact the Sheriff's Menifee County Station at 951-210-1091. And while I have this opportunity and we're talking about this, I wanted to talk a bit about drunk driving, especially because we have New Year's right around the corner, and a lot of people end up drinking and driving on New Year's. There's an astounding amount of accidents that happen on that day. Every day, almost 29 people in the United States die in drunk driving crashes. And in 2016, that was 1 person every 50 minutes. There is a little good news. Drunk driving rates have been dropping. In fact, it has dropped by 1/3 in the last 3 decades. However, we still need to spread awareness about it, as that is what has brought the numbers down in the first place. It is still a major problem, and nearly 11,000 people die of drunk driving accidents per year, if not more. Now, if you're someone who drinks or someone who doesn't drink and you actually don't know that much about alcohol and why you get drunk, let's talk a little bit about that. As alcohol levels rise in a person's system, the negative effects on their central nervous system increase too. Alcohol is absorbed directly through the walls of the stomach and small intestine, and then it passes into the bloodstream where it accumulates until it's metabolized in the liver. Alcohol level is actually measured by the weight of the alcohol in a certain volume of blood. This is called blood alcohol concentration, or BAC. At a BAC of 0.08 grams of alcohol per deciliter of blood, crash risk increases exponentially. And because of this risk, it is illegal in all 50 states, the District of Columbia, and Puerto Rico to drive with a BAC of 0.08 or higher. However, even a small amount of alcohol can affect driving ability. In 2016, there were nearly 2,017 people killed in alcohol-related crashes where drivers had alcohol levels lower than 0.01 to 0.07. Now, like I mentioned, New Year's Eve is an especially dangerous night when it comes to drunk driving. Compared to an average night on the weekend, there are 71% more crashes with drugs or alcohol as a contributing factor between December 31st, 6 p.m. and January 1st at 6 a.m. And that's just in a 12-hour period. Overall, Mothers Against Drunk Driving notes that the overall number of drunk driving deaths is down by 50% since 1980. So this is a reminder to you that if you drink, please consume responsibly and do not drive for any reason. Call a taxi, use an Uber, use Lyft. Like, there's so many options nowadays. There is zero excuse for drinking and driving. You can also download the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration's app called Safer Ride, which helps you identify your location and call a taxi or arranges for someone to pick you up. I have linked that app. There's also Uber and Lyft links as well. They're not affiliate links, but they are for promo codes, so you can get a discount. And if you are someone who drinks or is around people who drinks, it is always a good idea to have a breathalyzer. You can literally buy personal ones that go on your keychain, just go in your car, so that you never take the risk, because it is not worth it. If you know someone is drinking and driving, do not let them drive. Take their keys. If you see someone that's swerving around on the road, don't just avoid them and, just ignore the whole thing. Please call law enforcement if you suspect someone is under the influence. It could save a life. Now, like I said, there is no excuse when it comes to getting yourself a ride. If you cannot arrange for someone to take you, and you cannot walk, and you can't afford an Uber or taxi or Lyft, then you definitely cannot afford to drink and drive, my friend, because it is expensive. The legal fees get so crazy expensive. First time offenses can cost drivers up to $10,000. And if you do it more than once, it can easily double and triple. I've actually met someone who had 3 of them, and she's pretty much screwed for the rest of her life right now. She's in so much debt. Imagine if those guys had thought before they decided to get behind the wheel, before they decided to think they were good at driving enough that they could do it drunk. Rikki would still be here today. Those children would still have their father, and Alyssa would still have her husband.
And I'm really sad that he can't be here to see her, that he won't be able to watch her grow up. And I'm really hurt that she won't know her dad. She won't know how amazing he was. I'm also really sad that the twins will never get to see their dad again. They ask about him all the time. The one person I wish that I could wake up to every morning isn't here anymore. It's horrible. It's horrible to lose somebody that you've grown up with, to lose somebody that you've created a family with, to lose somebody that means everything to you. It has been the hardest 6 weeks of my entire life that I look back and think, how did I survive this? Not how did I survive the accident. How did I survive the last 6 weeks? That's what I'm questioning is, I don't understand. I don't know how I'm getting through this. I don't know how I'm able to get up and do laundry, how I'm able to get up and make my bed, how I'm able to get up and smile sometimes. I just want to say that Rikki was an amazing person. He was sweet and loving and caring. He was so funny, and he was never angry, never mad. Rikki was always happy. There was not a time where Rikki wasn't smiling and Rikki wasn't enjoying his life. He was so young, and he loved, and when I say love, I mean loved being a father. He loved being a husband. He loved just being a family man. That's who he was. And he had so many friends. Rikki had so many friends. He was so loved. He worked so hard to take care of us. He worked the longest hours just to make sure we had enough of everything. And he loved us. He loved me. He loved his daughters. He loved the life he had. And I'm just very thankful that I had a great marriage with him, and I had a great relationship with him. And I'm very thankful that I even had the opportunity to have my beautiful daughters with him. So I didn't know that we had gotten hit by a drunk driver. I didn't know that these guys fled from the scene. I didn't know any of that until later on in that day. It was probably like 11 o'clock when I was finally told. I couldn't wrap my head around it. And I just remember thinking to myself, I just remember thinking, why me? Why us? Why him? You know, Rikki was an amazing person. He did everything right. But I didn't understand why something like this would happen to someone so good. We were not bad people. This is the last thing that anybody would have thought would have happened to us, you know? We were just on our way to the hospital. We weren't coming back from a party or going to a party, or we were just trying to go to the hospital. That's it. I want to say thank you to Kendall for taking my story, I know that you don't do videos like this often or even at all, but I'm very appreciative and my family is very appreciative. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for just taking the time to watch this video, and if you're sharing it, thank you so much, and I hope that we can get these guys, and the next time any of you guys hear from me, it's to celebrate that these men have been caught.
So like I said, I need you to do 3 things for me, you guys. Number 1, I need you to share this video or those photos of those guys along with their names and a phone number of who to call with information. I will have it all set up for you in the description box. 2, please donate if you can or share Alyssa's GoFundMe. This will go to her children who are now suffering without their father, and Alyssa, and anything that she needs. And the last thing that I need you to do is follow the Justice for Rikki Instagram account if you are on Instagram, and just leave a nice message for Alyssa. Anything. Seriously, it will make her day, and I think that she's gonna need support. You know, when I was talking to her, she said sometimes she just feels like giving up, and I can't imagine, like, I don't know how she's even getting up every day, but she is a parent. She has a newborn who is depending on her, and so she does, and that's just so admirable to me, and I don't ever want her to lose faith. And so I know that by lifting her up with love and support, we can do wonders for her and her family. I know that this was a very emotional video for a lot of you probably. I know it was very upsetting, especially hearing it straight from her, but thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for thumbs upping, or any of all of the things. You guys know what to do, okay? Make this as known as possible, please. Let's get these guys. Somebody knows something. And just another reminder, never, 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 never drink and drive or allow someone else to. All right, guys, that's it for me today, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. Where'd you go?